They are a neighborhood association that, if I'm not mistaken, was actually formed as a result of work this church had committed to do for the wet dry vote many years ago, and had built great momentum for themselves, and through COVID and some unfortunate passings, had to reestablish themselves as a neighborhood association, and are now back in stride and doing incredible work, and meet every third Tuesday at 6:30, right? I showed up a little early. No, I was late the last time, sorry. And right across the street, and doing incredible work here in the community. So we want to thank them for pulling this together. And for those of you who haven't been here, I want to welcome you all to West Louisville. It is home to approximately 60,000 residents who are primarily African American. Those 60,000 residents, I'm told in so many instances, if when they were annexed as a city itself, West Louisville would be the fourth largest city in the state of Kentucky. And so West Louisville is nothing to sneeze at. It is also home to the city's most beautiful infrastructures, parks and parkways. It's also home to the GOAT, the greatest of all time,
That's right.
And today it is home, in my opinion, to the most important forum that these mayoral candidates will have.
That's right.
And that's because each one of these candidates, with hopes of becoming the next mayor of Louisville, I would assume have plans to improve this community. And it is also my belief that there is no plan that improves this community that does not first start with improving West Louisville.
That's right.
So today we're going to have some important conversations and some important discussions, just a few house rules, because we are operating on a limited time today. We're not going to be here all night long. I've got some ESPN highlights to watch later on, so we're going to get out of here before too long. But we're going to allocate 2 minutes per question for our candidates to respond so that we can keep this conversation moving today. There have been questions and cards passed out throughout the audience. I am going to ask questions that the Neighborhood Association has prepared. And then after we work our way through those questions, we will make time for questions that have come in from the audience. So keep that in mind. I believe we are one candidate short of what we intended to have today, so that's why we have an empty seat there. But with us today, we have Republican and Democratic candidates for mayor, along with 3 independent candidates. And so to get us started today, instead of me reading bios, I'm going to ask our candidates to introduce themselves to you and explain why they want to be Louisville's next mayor.
Alrighty. I didn't want to go first, but I will. My name is Martina Nichols. Kunnecke. My name, unfortunately, is not reflected up there, but I am on the ballot in November, running for mayor as an independent. I am from Louisville, Kentucky. I grew up in the California neighborhood. I've lived in Parkland, Chickasaw, many neighborhoods across town. I currently live in the house that my parents bought in the Shawnee neighborhood back in the 70s. So I am also a proud resident of Shawnee. What was the question again?
Why do you want to be Louisville's next mayor?
Well, I can't say I really wanted to be. I've been asked to run many times over the years, and I've turned it down because of my work with neighborhood planning and preservation, the group that pulled together the group that killed the methane plants. I've been involved in a lot of battles for the last 20 years on behalf of communities. So this time I decided I wanted to run because when I looked at the field of candidates, I was disappointed to see that once again we have people that were not in the community with us when we were having those battles. So I think it's time for Louisville to have a mayor who is from the city, the inner city, who has been there on behalf of communities in ways that I've not seen any of these people at the table. So that's why I'm running.
Sure.
Yeah, I know. There we go. Anytime anybody hands me a wireless mic, it never works. Just to let you know, it's just that whole. I am the mayor of the city of Jeffersontown, and our community merged 21 years ago. We merged the police, we merged the public works, we merged the parks. But the one thing we didn't do, we didn't unite the people all across this county. Being one, to think of everybody as brothers and sisters in need, that we should help every single day, not just on a certain holiday, but every single day. And somebody says, well, why are you running for mayor of Louisville? It's for my grandkids. I want to make sure that my grandkids want to grow up here and raise their family here and have a place where you call it your home. At the end of my term, if you say this is the best place I can live and grow up and my kids want to be here, I've accomplished something. And so many times there's been promises made and not promises kept. And as a mayor for the past 12 years, we've never done that. We are ones that are there helping the community, no matter who you are. I previously was the owner of a hardware store. I didn't care if you came in for a 5-cent nut or a $30,000 Bobcat. You had a problem and you wanted to resolve right then. It didn't matter who you were, it was a problem that needed to be resolved. So when we look at where Louisville should go in the future, it has to go with all of us rising the ships at one time. Not just one part of the county, not one part of the state. But this community needs the help and the love that we can give it, because this is a great community. As you said, Devone, the houses and the parks and everything down here, we should cherish. We should make sure this is part of the best that Louisville has.
Thank you. Thank you. And my apologies to the first two candidates, but I'm told that people in the back can't see, so I'm going to ask if you, when you respond, if you can stand. My apologies. I didn't realize that you spoke there. My apologies.
Good evening. My name is Craig Greenberg, and I'm proud to be the Democratic nominee to be the next mayor of Louisville. I thought it only appropriate, one of the reasons I'm running for mayor, it's appropriate that we're in a church this evening. One of the reasons I'm running is really motivated by my faith tradition, a learning that I had very early in life. A simple concept, but one that's been powerful to my wife Rachel and me, that we learned from our parents who've tried to instill in our two young boys, Daniel and Benjamin. And that is the concept of repair the world. A simple concept, but a powerful one. That every day, in ways large and small, personally or professionally, we should each try to make the world a better place. And so as I thought back on my career of working to invest in neighborhoods across our entire city and country, and about how I can contribute to the future of the city that I love, but is experiencing very significant challenges, this concept of repair the world kept coming back to me. And if you're anything like me, I think you'll agree that right now, our city is in great need of repair. It's in need of repair, it's in need of revitalization, it's in need of unification, it's in need of energy, it's in need of investment. And that's why I'm running for mayor. Because while there might be big challenges in certain parts of our city, whether it's the West End here or in other neighborhoods in our city, when there are big challenges, there are even bigger opportunities. And so I'm excited to invest in West Louisville, to invest in other parts of the city, to improve public safety, to improve affordable housing, to address our homeless crisis, to invest in the needed services and infrastructure in communities that have been overlooked for my and your entire lifetime, to create universal pre-K so every 3- and 4-year-old child has the same opportunity to succeed. These might sound like lofty goals to some, but to me, this is our only option, our only direction. So I'm excited to be here with you today and talk about how together we can move Louisville forward in a new direction. Thank you all. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Oh, no. Really? Let's try that again. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Much better. My name is Manetta Joe Crittenden Lemkheitif. Say it with me 5 times fast. I am here because God said I could be here. I'm running as a Christian, a strong believer in my faith in God, because without Him, we are nothing. We can do nothing. And we have a road ahead of us that is going to require us to do major things. I looked at the list of candidates, and my friend over here and I just recognized each other when we came in, and I agree with you. And I was having a conversation in my bedroom that I thought was just me and me. How do you know you're never alone? The Lord, I said, we got to pick from the Lord. And so I'm like, what do we do? He says, what about you? Are you talking to me? No way. He says, yes. Where are my people? When are my people going to step to the forefront? When are they going to stand up for Christ and stand up for right and stand up and do what needs to be done? And I had to back up and say, you know what? I apologize, God, because I told you could use me and use me for your glory, for whatever it was, for whatever it took, whenever it took, and the time is now. It is my season, it is our time, and it is up to us to work together to get the job done. You can't expect anybody on this platform to come in and make a promise that they're going to do everything that you want done. It doesn't happen that way. But we can work together and do it together and get as much done in the 4 years that we have to get it done. And if we're doing it right, you'll put us back in again to do it all over again and make our city the best city in the United States of America and across. Amen? Amen. All right. God bless you.
Hello, my name is Ellenberg. I'm here today because I have a plan. Oh, before I get started, I wanted to thank Erica and Devone here. I wanted to thank Shawnee Neighborhood Association and the Portland Memorial Church for having this event here. And I especially wanted to thank you all for being here enough, caring enough to find out what we have to say, because we can't do it without you. We can only do it together. I do have a plan, and it's called the Game of Life. It's on my website, ellenberg.com. If you want more information about it, I can explain to you a little bit. It involves the internet. It involves, right? Lists of people doing things. You can get points for doing just all the basic things of life. You can get points for doing good deeds, smart social contracts. I'm not going to get into it too much. The other thing is called the MLVVR. It's the Map Leisure Voter Verification Record. And it basically allows you to vote on all the issues from your phone or your device that you have at home. Those are just two programs or plans that I'd like to implement here in Louisville. Now, just a little bit about myself. I was born in Iowa. I'm 59 years old. And I moved here in 1981. And I've been here ever since. I went to college at the University of Missouri and at the University of Louisville. And I love it here. I live on Cherokee Road. I love that neighborhood. But I love all the neighborhoods here, and I think that we really can do something with getting more investments. That's definitely number one priority for getting things to happen. And I think we can do that with the Game of Life. And if you're not sure what it is, you can just Google it. And now they're doing it in China, and the people there love it. So don't think it's bad because China's doing it, because it's a great idea, and I think eventually it will be implemented around the country. As far as specific programs, that's about it for me now. Plus, I need a job. I can't get a job. The other reason I'm here today is because our Governor Scheer, gave me back my right to vote. All right. I'm David Ellenberg, vote for me. All right.
Well, as he said, I do also want to thank everyone for being here, but I also want everyone to acknowledge that we're not alone. We do have several people throughout the community and around the country, my understanding, who are streaming with us online. And so this is being hosted live in person in West Louisville. But but these topics and issues will be communicated to people all throughout this community, and I'm thankful that they get a chance to be with us here today. I want to be really clear, as the Neighborhood Association was preparing for this gathering today, they asked me as moderator to be really deliberate in my approach to managing today's interactions. And it was really clear to them that they had seen enough of political debates and were much more interested in a forum where we had the opportunity to have candidates share with us their thoughts and ideas without necessarily spending time bashing one another. We can bash you when you leave. It's just a joke. It's just a joke. It's just a joke. But in all seriousness, the preference is for us to hear your thoughts and your ideas and let us make the decision ourselves on who's good and who's not. And we trust that we can decipher that for ourselves if you provide us clarity on your visions and pathways to productivity for this community. So with that, I'll start with a number of the questions that were created by the Neighborhood Association. And we'll kind of work our way back to the top and ask Martina to respond to this first question. And it's a question that, while it is prevalent for all of us here in this community, many of us, in particular in West Louisville, have been focused on how to address the issue of crime in our community. Violent crime is recognized as a concern that prevents quality residents from moving to or staying in West Louisville. And so the question that we ask is a really simple one. What plans would you have as mayor to address the wave of violent crime that our city is experiencing?
The question is an easy question.
Can you stand, please? I'm sorry.
The question is an easy question to ask. The answer is very complex and difficult. It took us decades to get here, folks. It took a failing school system, which is ejecting children that are functionally illiterate and unable to get good jobs, unable to have a bright future. It took decades of a police department that little by little is totally going in the opposite direction of protecting the community. We're now in the situation where the police department and a mayor that's enabled this police department to fail in ways that we all now recognize, to come to a point where they're telling us what they are not going to do. And so that leaves West Louisville in particular in a horrible position. When you have a police department that tells one of our community partners, oh, someone just shot in your front window, pick up the casings, take pictures, submit those pictures to your insurance company, and then throw the casings away. Those of us who live in West Louisville understand that this violence problem is multi-pronged, and so it will not go away overnight. So, one of the first things I want to do as a mayor, we're going to forget what this mayor says about what we should do with our police department. There is no need to go to the source of the problem to get a solution to our problem now. We will, under a Kunnecke administration, go to the community in a genuine way and tell the community, you tell us what you expect of your police department. That is the way we're going to roll under a Kunnecke administration. It's all going to be based on what our expectations are, because it's time to say we can no longer do what we're told as a community when we're paying the tax.
Bill?
The safety of each individual in this community is paramount. In order to do that, we have to have community policing where you get to know your police officer. The police officer gets to know your kids, gets to know you. In order to do that, we have to have enough police officers down here where you know Mary. You know how to help that person solve the crime. We're going to have to work it together. We can't have a mayor that is the same old establishment that is going, that I will tell you which crimes to stand down from, and I will tell you which crimes to investigate. That is not right. We have to be able to have the community and the police department working together. But we also have to stop putting the wrong people in jail. We have to stop pulling the young black male over because his blinker is not going. That's not the proper policing. We have to take the people that are in jail that are addicted. In J-Town, we started the Angel program to help those that are addicted, to make sure that they have the needed resources. And we have over 300 locations nationwide. Any of you all know somebody who needs help, come to J-Town right now. It's not just to our city. It's a statewide event now. We've got it in all the Kentucky state posts. We have it in 8 other cities. We believe that there is people that are out in jail that have mental problems that we should help. We shouldn't be putting these people in jail. We should be helping these people. We should put the hardened criminals and make them serve time, but the people that we're putting in jail are the wrong people. And so when we looked at what we're going to do here, is we're going to work together. Not too many weeks ago, Rick Sanders, my chief out of J-Town, who has been DEA in charge in Miami, Chicago, Indianapolis, and also been a state commissioner, will be coming with me downtown. We sat down with Coles, and Cole, he brought all different people from the neighborhoods in to sit down and talk. And when I talk about sitting down and talk, guys, I don't mean I stand up here and talk to you. We took chairs and put them in a round circle. Because in a round circle, everybody in that circle is equal. And to be equal, that means all opinions count to move the city forward in policing. And we left that event hugging and saying, we're here for you. We're going to solve the problems and move this city forward.
Thank you.
Improving public safety and reducing the amount of violent crime in Louisville will be my #1 priority. We need comprehensive solutions. We need action. We don't need any more studies. And we need everyone working together to make this happen. We have far too many illegal guns on the streets in this community. And so I will take every action. Thank you. 2 weeks ago, let me tell you, under Kentucky law right now, when guns are confiscated, they are required under Kentucky law to be returned to the state government, who in turn auction those guns off. And far too often, those guns find their way back onto the street and are used in a crime again. That is an absurd and dangerous law. And 2 weeks ago, I announced that on the first day of my administration, our policy in Louisville will be that when those guns are confiscated, right now, already this year in Louisville, nearly 2,000 guns have already been confiscated by MPD. Under my administration, when those guns are confiscated, we'll comply with Kentucky law and return them to Frankfurt, but only after we render them inoperative. Because no gun that's used to commit a crime should ever find its way again on the streets and be used to commit a crime again. As I said, that's absurd and dangerous. And that's the type of solution that we need to work together to reduce the amount of senseless gun violence in this community. Yes, we need to also address our policing, and we should strive to have the best community policing department in America. To me, that means the one that's the best trained, the most trusted, and the most transparent. And so I will be working with you all to achieve those goals of trust, transparency, and training. But we must do more than policing. We must invest more in mental health resources so people get the services they need before they commit a crime. We have to work with violence intervention programs that have proven so successful in other cities, working with clergy, neighborhood leaders, business owners to reduce the amount of violent crime. And finally, we must invest in the root causes of poverty. Thank you.
That was good.
One thing for sure, you'll learn about me. I don't do anything without praying. We have taken prayer away from our families. We've taken it out of the schools. We've taken it away from society. Prayer changes things. If I don't know anybody in here that is not a praying person and you haven't got a result from it, raise your hand. Exactly. We have to go back to some basics. Basic means trusting God to move us in directions that only He can. I'm not living in a fantasy world when I tell you that prayer will get us through. I'm not living in a fantasy world when I tell you it's not the guns that's killing the people, it's the people that's killing the people. I'm not living in a fantasy when I tell you that the importance of us changing what we see day to day, night to night, in the daytime. Somebody come up and punk out our mayor, When do we stop and go back to what got us to where we are today? We don't. Because what got us here today was forgetting what got us here in the first place. Who wakes us up every morning? Who provides you with food? Who gives you clothing? Who gives you shelter? God is the source. And if you say he's not, I'm going to pray for you anyway. Because he is. And he will see us through. Ask Moses, ask Joseph, ask David, ask Daniel, ask Mama, ask me. I'm a living, walking, breathing testimony. I don't have time to tell you what happened, but one day I will when I become your mayor. God bless you.
Leave it up to God.
Oh, good question. I definitely have a plan for that. It relates back to that game of life thing. But we have to look at the problem, what's the real cause of crime, and I think the problem is no hope, lack of hope. The people who are committing these crimes, they have no hope. They think they might as well do it because nobody cares and they're not going to live another day anyway and the world's coming to an end. So we need to do something about that and, giving them something they can do, like good deeds, smart social contracts, that's a good idea. As far as the police go, well, we need to have one in each neighborhood. I kind of think that if you're policing a neighborhood, you should have to live there too.
All right.
That might not always be possible, so we could designate somebody in each neighborhood, make sure there's at least one or two cops living there. Back to the hope thing, though. Well, that's the major problem. And if I was in as mayor, one of the first things I would say is we don't want to refer to any human being as a particular color. We'll just say, oh, that human, this human, or that specific person. I don't know. I don't really like referring to groups as a color, so that's just my personal thing. But I don't know. That's all I can think of right now.
Amen. All right. I like the room. All right.
So I'm going to skip my way down and we'll work my way around in a full circle with these questions. The next one is one that has surfaced in a number of occasions. I'm getting questions in from the audience, and I've seen a number of these questions already surfaced. And it was one of the first questions that the Shawnee Neighborhood Association had prepared for today. And the question is, state legislators established a TIF district, a tax incremental financing district in West Louisville, that has many concern that it may result in unwanted gentrification. What are your thoughts on the potential gentrification of West Louisville, and do you have an identified strategy to ensure renters in the area don't get priced out of their homes? Bill, we'll start with you on this question.
I would say am I back on? There we go. I would say as a mayor that's been doing this 12 years, I've worked with Frankfurt many times. And I've seen the TIF that has come out of Frankfurt, and it needs a lot of work. And the people that work on it need to realize that what they brought to you was something that was very generic. It was very generic. It said economic development. Economic development can bring big people from out of town taking over land here and taking up our properties downtown. They take advantage of people, and we can't have that happen. But as the mayor now, I can tell you, and as the mayor of Louisville in the future, the advantage is right now, I am working on bills in Frankfurt. The advantage is right now, we can start working on changing the TIF come January 1, so the bill is changed then. If you wait till the next person to be seating in the seat, it's too late. We've lost a year. And when we start talking about changing it in Frankfurt, we have to make sure the residents have the ability to get the money to build the houses, to remodel the houses that they have to rehab them. We have to make sure that the residents are the ones that have the ability to get generational wealth. But also, when we start talking ownership, we have to think beyond the first day, beyond the first week. Because if a person is having a hard time making payments, if something happens to that house, if the roof starts leaking, the water heater goes out, and it's going to cost them an additional $2,000, we need to have incorporated a local warranty so that people can get those fixed without having to go out and get a loan to lose their house in the future. So we have to make sure that they have the security not only but in the future. So the tip is something that I am very much want to change, want to adjust to where it's your all's tip, not somebody that's from out of town coming in, taking your property, taking advantage of it, raising rents to where you can't afford to stay in the areas that you love so much.
Come on now. Bill, continue to stand. There's an addendum to this question, and I'm going to ask that we give you another 60 seconds to respond to the addendum, if that's okay.
Thank you, sir.
And I'm going to frame this question based on a personal experience I had, because when I moved back to Louisville and had a desire to move to West Louisville, I can tell you that I had the credit, stellar credit. I had a bank account full of money, and I couldn't get a bank to lend me money to move to West Louisville. They gave me money to move anywhere else I wanted to move, but they would not give me money to move to West Louisville. It just so happened that I was on a board with Steve Trader at Republic Bank, who I knew personally, and because of that personal relationship, I was able to get a mortgage to move into a community that banks didn't finance. And so my question to you and all the other candidates who will get a chance to respond to this is, what will your administration do to address this concern that West Louisville residents have about redlining in our community?
Everybody, you all don't think this, but across a lot of this county and across a lot of this area, people think redlining is gone. It's not. It's something that we should be dealing with right now, whether it's your insurance premium, your gas prices, your food prices, or trying to get along. And so just one thing, since I got a short time to say something, we should consider, and one of the questions that was on there is, what do we do about investment from the city? We should have a co-op neighborhood bank that is owned by the residents to make deposits in the bank. So that if we start talking about getting loans, they come to an area that they have, the people know them. This is our area, this is our bank where they can get generational wealth from the bank, and they also can make the rules on who and how people get loans in their own community. So I would say the one thing I would hope that we stop doing, and as mayor, I would make sure that somebody's is doing that in the West End, I would stop it. But I also want to have a bank in the area of the West End that's owned by the people in the West End. Where they
Thank you, Bill. Tom, thank you.
I believe that the West End Opportunity Partnership has the potential to make positive impact on the 9 neighborhoods of West Louisville. However, I'm going to give you 3 very specific changes that I believe need to be made to improve it so it better serves the residents of West Louisville in a fashion that you all and your neighbors are seeking. First, it needs better protections for renters. Right now, there are negligent landlords all across West Louisville that are providing too expensive and substandard housing to your neighbors. That is unfair, and we must do more to protect renters than we currently are. So that would be the first change, to protect renters from negligent landlords. Secondly, under the current legislation, if you own a home, your property taxes will not go up for 20 years. That's good. However, the way it works right now is you have to pay your property taxes and then you get a refund. So if your property taxes rise over the next 20 years, as they likely will, it might be difficult to come up with that money. So we need to convert that refund into a credit, so you just simply do not have to pay your taxes as opposed to paying them and then getting a refund.
Amen.
And third, we need more neighborhood input. Right now, the board is not controlled by a majority of folks that live in West Louisville, and so we need more neighborhood input on to control how these funds are spent, as well as on the projects that they're investing in. So to your point, Devone, on the second point about redlining, to me, that's where the West End Opportunity Partnership has an opportunity to make positive impact. It needs to invest in projects, services, people, and neighborhoods that have been redlined and overlooked for our entire lifetime. We can use plans that are already out there, like the Urban League's Path Forward, as a blueprint for the types of investments that need to be made. Invest more in affordable housing and use the $100 million that the city has committed to invest in not just rental affordable housing, but more home ownership. Let's address this issue with vacant and abandoned lots and get them into the hands of people who can own their own homes, start creating wealth for their family, and also improve the safety, the cleanliness, and the quality of life on blocks and on neighborhoods. We need to have local, real grocery stores in the West End. That's something that can and should be done, and it's a shame that it hasn't happened. It's just simply a question of a priority and a focus, and under my administration, we will make that finally happen. I'm very supportive of the efforts of Louisville Community Grocery. They're supporting an initiative in Smoketown. We need to bring those same types of approaches here to West Louisville. It's great to see that Norton Hospital is being built here at West Louisville. And just last weekend, Humana announced a new one with the Urban League on their site. But that's just a start. We need more medical facilities. We need dentist office here in West Louisville. And we have a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to do this right now between the hundreds of millions of dollars that are available to the city under all these federal programs, as well as the West End Opportunity Partnership. If it's done right, together it can make powerful, positive impact that's led by residents of West Louisville.
Thank you.
Very good.
The carrot tip, I do not like it. It's too vague. It doesn't give enough clarity on who will control what. And I think it's 8 or 9 residents out of 21 that sit on the board that has a say. That ratio does not add up to me. The ratio should be 3 outsiders and the rest on the end. 1 should be someone that understands finance. 2 should be one that understands business savvy. And the 3rd should just be there as a in-between to go between the 2 that's there. Everybody else are gifted and talented, and you have what it takes to make this part of the city great. But what I don't understand is, why are we always having to be the ones to come up with the things for West End? Why are we separated? Why are we always the ones having to give up our schools and give up our this and that and the other? We have worked hard, our parents have worked hard, our grandparents have worked hard to bring us into a neighborhood that shows that we do get along, that shows that we can work together. But we let other people come in here and divide us and change minds and cause problems. It is time for us to stand on our 2 feet and come up with a development plan that will enhance the entire city of Louisville. West End is just a big portion of that. And we need to stop saying yes when we should say no. We should, I promise you, we should be able to have conversations and speak what we need to speak without feeling like we are stepping on someone's toes or not going to get the funding. You're going to get what you need as you need it when you need it.
All right.
Amen?
Amen.
Somebody better hear what I'm saying. I think y'all think because I'm a God-fearing woman that I don't have no business being here. But when I tell you it was orchestrated by himself, and I stand here, stand firm on my beliefs, knowing that he is a sovereign God, knowing that he is a God of understanding, knowing that he is a God of refuge and refreshing and privileges and honor. I believe with all my heart when we, where's that t-shirt? Let me have that bag. Just one.
That's your time.
Okay.
Yes.
On the next one,
Okay.
I'll grab a bag. Thank you, ma'am.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Well, I like what all of the candidates had to say. Bill, especially about Co-op Mac, and Craig about, letting the people who live there make more decisions. Because I really like pretty much to get rid of the government almost completely. One of the things that I would do is have a website where all the people that are there, that live there, can vote on the issues at hand. Other than that, I would defer to whatever the people would say on the website, and whatever the experts would say, that's what I would go with.
Thank you, sir. All right.
The West End TIF is an example of what the larger problem is in our community. The way the West End TIF was passed 10 minutes before midnight in Frankfurt needs to be questioned. The way the West End TIF was objected to by many of those legislators that voted that night, we need to talk to them why. The way the TIF is being presented tonight is a done deal. It's done. Now what can we do to tweak it? Same old, folks. I've lived long enough to tell you that about every 7 or 8 years, there's a big initiative. This is going to save West End. This is going to change everything. We're going to have investment. And we're going to have you come and talk to us and tell us what you want. And then you know what's going to happen? After the newspaper goes away, after they're no longer paying attention, there's a small group of people in the city of Louisville that are controlling what laws they will pass 10 minutes before midnight. What people get appointed to these committees. Mr. Devone, please disclose that you are on the West End Opportunity Partnership. Okay, so you were. So the conversations in this community are complex. They are complex. And we have to go beyond the platitudes of, we'll tweak it, we need to have you at the table, we're finally going to do what you want us to do. As an African American woman, born and raised in the West End, you need to tell me why Louisville Forward says since 2013, over $1 billion has been invested in the West End. You need to tell me why we have what we have here.
That's right.
I know through my work with neighborhood planning and preservation, which beat the methane plants, which fought hard to stop this TIF, that there are too many brilliant people in the West End, in the city of Louisville, that are tired of this stuff. MPP was fighting, let me say one more thing, MPP was fighting TIFs long before this came up, and nobody would listen to us when we said this is corporate welfare that's going to the few to control this city over and over again. So my hats off to the Historic Black Assembly because they have brought the issue of TIF to the forefront. So, with all due respect to everybody, this TIF is not to be fixed. We got to figure out why it's well on its way to begin with. We're told the money's already been given. Where was the public process when the public said, okay, give them $10 million? Come on now, it's time to stop.
Greg, we'll start with you as this next question. West Louisville is undoubtedly one of Louisville's and Kentucky's most underserved communities. As a result, we believe West Louisville is deserving of specific attention, policies, and resources to help maximize its potential. What type of commitments is your administration ready to make that are specifically targeted to help advance West Louisville and/or this shiny neighborhood?
Thanks, Devone. In terms of specific initiatives, there are many. Because as I mentioned earlier, we have a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to make new investments in neighborhoods of West Louisville where the capital has not been invested here before. Let's start with something we haven't talked about yet. I want to invest more in parks. West Louisville is home to some great parks already, but we can invest in even more. Let's make Waterfront Park a reality as it moves further west, and also there's a Maple Street Park just south of Broadway. Provide more park services with free Wi-Fi to all of the neighborhoods of West Louisville that are accessible. But also with the existing parks that we have here in West Louisville, like Shawnee and Chickasaw, we need to improve the quality of those parks so they're at the same quality of a waterfront park or parklands of Floyd Forest out in the east part of Jefferson County. All of Metro Parks should be at that same high quality of level, serving all of our communities. So that's one area of investment. I also mentioned we need real grocery stores. As you mentioned earlier, Devone, for a part of the city with 60,000 people, To have 2 Kroger stores spread throughout, that's not enough. We need neighborhood grocery stores in the neighborhoods of West Louisville. We can make this happen. This is not that complicated. It just needs to be a priority, and we need to make it happen. And also with healthcare services. The new Norton Hospital is a great first step. The new primary care center that was announced with the Urban League last Saturday is a great second step. We must do more. We must have much more access to primary care doctors, to dentists, to specialists, like there is in Parkland across from the library that will soon to be open. That's another area of investment. We need to reinvest in libraries like the Parkland Library so that neighbors have much more access. And finally, we need to make universal pre-K a reality so that every 3- and 4-year-old child has the same opportunity to succeed. Research shows that children that start their education early and have good, solid education are more likely to have healthier lives, they're more likely to have more opportunities for success in life. And so right now, Louisville might be on the map for some of the wrong reasons. Let's put Louisville on the map for the right reasons. Let's be a national model to show every other city in America what can happen when you make universal pre-K a reality for every 3- and 4-year-old child in Louisville. Thank you.
Education, unsheltered individuals, our veterans, our paratransit system. I don't know how many of you all have people that rely on that system, but it's out of whack. It leaves people, it refuses to pick up people, it puts false information down to say that a person called in when the person actually is still outside, maybe in inclement weather, waiting for their pickup. It's very efficient. Thank you, sir.
It's all.
Being left in the weather, my brother went in the daylight for an eye appointment, came out waiting for his pickup, and the downtown closing, and we have to go and get him. He's unable to defend himself. So what is he to do when his ride is supposed to pick him up? We cannot allow these things to continue. I am all for grocery stores, but I'm more so for abandoned houses becoming livable housing for people who don't have a place to live. We can make all kinds of new this and build new that, but until we take care of the least of these, we are fighting a losing battle. We have people who need to be in a place where they can learn again how to get into society and function properly and do the things that they had set out to do before they got off course. Now we are faced with helping one another. Do you all remember when we used to help one another? We used to keep an eye on children. Now a child will tell you what you can do with your information.
That's your time. Thank you. This is about specific policies that you would use.
Well, I would just defer to the experts, Craig and Bill, and then I would mainly get with the people and ask them what they want, and then I would do that. But as far as specific programs that I would like to implement, the one I have in mind is online, and it's a society, it's called International Virtual Academy of Music and Photography. Basically, it'd be all the people making rules to regulate social media and the news. Because I think that's a big problem, with social media and the news, and you need to get a huge group of people, and anybody can sign up. It's a voluntary thing, and start regulating social media. Like anybody who has a posting, will want to put it up for the group to vote if it's socially acceptable or not. And then basically have other people starting to write rules and regulations for social media and the news. As far as anything else, I would refer to the people and the experts.
Would you restate the
So the question was, in short, what will your administration, what type of commitments is your administration ready to make that are specifically targeted to help advance West Louisville and this shining area?
My administration is going to be a bit different from other administrations. And from the get-go, I'm going to say that the experts are not up here. The experts have already made plain what they want. A Kunnecke administration will do a full review, a forensic review of how monies to date have been spent. And we're going to be going to the Urban League, to all of these organizations that we keep mentioning and we keep giving money to, and they keep hiring, and they keep employing, and what do we have? So the administration is going to say, let's lay it out. Let's connect the dots, let's add up the numbers, and let's start withdrawing those funds and come up with ways to give it more directly to the folks so we can have affordable housing. There is so much that could be rehabbed, reused in this community. So what you're going to see from the Kunnecke administration is, hey, we're looking at the way that money has been spent. We're going to start doing things differently. We're going to get rid of the gatekeepers who have been able to hire and keep us from what we want and what we have been made plain for decades that we need. This is the expert panel we need to be going to.
That's right.
Gotta love following her, don't you? The advantage of what she's saying is in House Bill 314, they require the Urban Service District to have an audit to find out where the money is going in the next year. We will know where the funds are going, and as an accountant, I understand every dollar counts. And so many times government uses $100, they'll take $90 of it, spend it on themselves, and give you 10 and say, you should be appreciative. And I understand how to do government at $10 level and give $90 so you all can build it to what the community wants. And one of the things that is mentioned that we have to have is health. And one of the health things is our health personally, and then there's environmental health. But our health personally, I think it's fantastic that Goodwill, in order to bring that facility downtown, I appreciate that. The other thing is, I met with U of L Health, and they're bringing a facility down here. But the key thing is they have to have them open when you can go. They can't have them open from 9 to 5. They have to have them open on weekends and evenings, so it's available to you. They have to be, the other thing I was connected very heavily to about 2 years ago was Bingham Fellows, and our project was to bring the digital connection to the West End. We found out that during a pandemic, if you didn't have the connectivity, and they said go home and you can work from home, if you did not have that, you could not do your job. How did you even know there was a job available if you did not have the connectivity? And we talk about the future of health. It's all going to be digital, and we have to have the ability in this part of town to have the best of the best connectivity. When we talk connectivity, that's not only the wire going to your house, that's the computer and the training and the service you need to make sure you're connected all the time. But it is a food desert down here, and we have to make sure that we bring a facility here. But I've talked to the garden lady to bring food from the farm down here, fresh food. The Black Market is working with them to work not only down here, but also to work with the rest of the community to make sure that they can grow. But when we start talking about the digital connection, the hardest thing to do is the brick and mortar. The easier thing we can do right now, if we get the digital connection down here, which I would push, you can order anything you want online. And it's going to be the same price online for down here as it would be in PRP or Prospect. And you can have it delivered down here if we have the service to bring it here.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay, I'm sorry. Myself mixed up in the order. My apologies. see here. Ms. Manetta, this question is for you. Am I getting my order right? I think I've got my order right. So West Louisville has had some notable investments recently. We watched the Urban Leagues track go up. We've seen the YMCA at 18th and Broadway. Goodwill and Boyd Healthcare made an announcement of a $100 million plus investment in the corner of 28th and Broadway. What more do you think needs to be done to ensure this trend continues for West Louisville and its residents to reap the benefits that the increased attention that West Louisville is getting from an economic development perspective?
That's a good question. Why can't we look like St. Matthews? Why can't we look like all of the other cities that are out east end, and they are built up and they are strong and they have everything they need? All you have to do is ride through, look at what they have and put it here. Very easy. We don't need to add anything new. We need what we need to survive. If you need grocery stores, it seems like you would have built that before you built a sports center. I'm just sorry. I know but real is real. I gotta eat before I do a squat. So I have energy to do a squat. I can't. We need our schools to be in a place where they are getting proper education. I don't care if it's online, I don't care if it's in class. We need proper education for our children. We need to be able to embrace our neighborhood once again. We had big mamas. Where are the big mamas? I think I'm a big mama down. Lord have mercy. But if I am, I love it. Because I love children, I love our community. I've been here all my life. My daddy was a preacher here. My mom was a teacher here. My family was filled with educators. I am here because I want to see us prove them wrong. I want to see us become better than St. Matthews, better than Prospect, better than Lake in the Woods. Is that what it's called? Yeah, somebody's woods. I want to see us better. Because in being better, you get greater. Does that make sense? Our future is not contingent on us. It's contingent on my grandbabies. Hi, Mayoral. It's contingent on the generations to come.
The question is, what more do we think needs to be done to continue this economic momentum, investment momentum that's happening in West Louisville?
Oh, well, you just gotta get more money, that's for sure, but you need to have a way to get more money. And I think one of the ways is through, you gotta get like the digital thing, you gotta get more people online if they're not already, you should be. And that would be my main motivation. It's called the MOVBR, the Map Budget Voter Verification Record, where you can log in with, biometrics, and then you have your device IDs, your IP address, and that's all registered. So you can vote on, say, the election here today from your device. And that's about as secure as it can get. If you gotta punch in with your thumb, and you gotta have your face recognition, you gotta have a device ID and IP address, and it's all registered. That's about as secure as it can get to vote. I'd like to see that implemented for the city. And then I would also like to see, again, it relates back to that game of life. It's, everybody has ranked, and you can move up and down the rankings by just like brushing your teeth today, or getting up at a certain time. You get points for that. Move up and down. Then you have good deeds, smart social contracts. That can be anything you want, and then you get paid for that. Then we have the channels that we utilize, newer channels, the internet channels, YouTube.
He loses.
The question was, West Louisville has had some notable investments recently. What more do you think needs to be done to ensure this trend continues for West Louisville?
First thing we need to do is stop confusing building a new building with progress.
All right.
Now, many times in West, and I'm going to say West End because there is actually a West Louisville, Kentucky. And the West Louisville came from Louisville Magazine years ago after the shootings and whatever. Let's be proud of West End.
That's right.
West End already had individuals that were going to do the fight, get us online and whatnot. These kind of ideas that were already in the West End were harvested by the powers that be and repackaged and resold. And all the while, we did not know there are brilliant people on the West End that already have these ideas that are not fooled when we put up a new building, when a hospital comes, when A, B, C, D comes. This is not progress. This is facade.
That's right.
And if we do not start reining in that powerful few that knows how to talk to us, they know our language, they've stolen it. They can run us around in circle for another couple of decades. What do we need? We need to stop this and start putting people in office that come from the community, that fight for the community as I have, as a volunteer for 20 years.
Yes.
Start looking at the people that are talking to you. What do they have to gain? Are they after the funding? Are they after the property? Are they after the office? Vote smart. That's what you need to be doing.
I would say the first thing we need to do is bring a living wage to everybody in the community, to make sure that they can afford the houses, afford the services, and to bring the services here, because that's real. Living a life is real. Having the funds to be able to do that is real. So when we look at where we're going to do it, first thing we have to do is also take $100 million of this ARC money and invest it in this area for affordable, attainable housing for the people here. So, and it's not all about building apartments. It's about building ownership of a house where you take one house and you don't have to tear them all down. We can rehab a house and have ownership. The key thing is there's a lot of pride down here. And there is 9 neighborhoods here. 7 years ago, I did a thing to try to get rid of the compass and start talking about neighborhoods. When the reporters come, and let's say, rather than say the West End, let's start saying the Shawnee neighborhood, the Russell neighborhood. Let's start talking about the California neighborhood. There's a lot of good neighborhoods down here. But the big thing we have right now that nobody's talking about is a Ford plant that's going down 65. We should be able to have the people in this community be the suppliers, the vendors, the people that supply that place down there, or even the employees that go down there. And how do you get there? How do you get across town? Is transportation a big thing? I'm a chairman of KIPTA at one time, and I started a project of Ticket to Ride. And the Ticket to Ride originally was from here to the Toyota plant. But I set it up now, you can do it from the West End to J-Town. It's a van where you and 8 or 10 other people share the cost, not the cost of the van, the cost of the insurance and the gas. It's not inflated insurance, it's not inflated gas. It's ability to get to the location and not have to ride a bus for 3 hours. Ability to go down 65 and go to the new plant without having to ride a bus. So we have to start thinking of ways the people in the community can grow their wealth, their health, and have a good place to live.
I'll give you a few specific things. Is that working? Let's try. Is that working? Yes, there you go. So over the past many years, not just from the campaign, but prior to that, as I've listened to neighbors in the West End of Louisville, some of the things that I've heard, we've talked about a lot of things tonight, but some new ones that I've heard that I think we need to take action on immediately that we haven't talked yet about tonight. You're right, not everything, I don't believe, needs to be built. My wife used to be an elementary school teacher at Wheatley Elementary School in the California neighborhood. She taught English as a second language. As you all probably know, right next to Wheatley is a community center. Let's reopen the community centers and ensure that they have the programs that our kids and young adults need to give them more enrichment, educational, athletic, extracurricular activities so that they have more opportunities to succeed and more education in their life. That would be one, is to reopen and enhance the programming at our community center. Let's also, there's another great institution in West Louisville that we have not talked about yet tonight, and that's Simmons College. Let's not just focus on University of Louisville, on Bellarmine, on Spalding, but let's make Louisville an HBCU town.
Right.
Let's ensure that Simmons College is a thriving HBCU that is providing educational opportunities both in Louisville and throughout the region and country. And let's educate more teachers, more lawyers, more doctors, more everything out of Simmons College. We also, something else that I hear a lot about is workforce training. So whether it's Simmons College and HBCU or this morning, I was at Jefferson Community and Technical College. There's a huge opportunity to expand their programs so everyone, not everyone needs a 4-year college degree. That's not the only path to a good paying career path job. That's not the only way to learn how to start a business. But let's focus on teaching people skills so that they can have good paying career path jobs, learn how to start a business that they want. And finally, let's make sure that we do the little things right. So when you're going around the neighborhoods in West Louisville or other neighborhoods in Louisville, and you see alleys that haven't been cleaned in days and weeks, in months, or even years, let's make sure that we keep every neighborhood clean in the city, provides the same level of services to enhance the quality of life and the safety of every neighborhood in the West End and throughout all of Louisville.
All right, I think we're running short on time, so I'm going to plow through. Unfortunately, I will tell you, many of you who submitted questions, if you're paying attention, it sounds like many of the questions that you've asked have had answers in a lot of these responses that we've gotten from the candidates today. So for that, I'm thankful because there's a lot of cards. But you have touched on a lot of those. One that I see here in the Neighborhood Association wanted to make sure that we did ask, and I think it's an important one because, yes, we recognize that as mayor, you operate as a leader of this city, but it does matter who you hire to help you manage your city. And so the question is, what should we expect your administration to look like, and how will you decide who helps lead your administration?
That's the best question yet. Give me a chance to be there. I would hire each one of these guys if they want a job and all have it. I'd hire all of you all. But lately, I really do like a decentralized government. So I try to go around setting up little miniature governments in each and every neighborhood. And so that way we can hire more people, because I do believe that eventually all the jobs are going to be gone and we're all going to be doing everything online. So we're going to need more ways to make money through the internet, or just more ways to get what they call legitimate income, or whatever it's called, or a way to make money online. So again, I refer back, I think people just want them to respond to, what do you call it? Send in a resume. I'd like to meet them all first. I'm going to be working with them and make some information.
Right.
Thank you.
What will they, okay, it's not working.
Turn it on.
Okay. What will the Kunnecke administration look like? It's going to look like the city. And it's going to include people that have not been just sitting around doing nothing for a long time because they get a salary and they're part of the interior network. It's going to incorporate folks that know how important places like Floyd's Fork and all those green places that we're plowing through and just building houses that no one can afford to move into. It's going to have some of those folks that are worried about that creek in my office trying to educate the public about what that creek, what those green spaces in the urban areas, what those green gardens that these young people are trying to get going, what that means to all of us. It's going to be people that understand that TIFs are corporate welfare. They're going to understand that our planning and zoning processes are completely broken down and have been co-opted by the few, and that we actually have rules that are designed to protect all of our neighborhoods that are constantly overturned by BOZA, by planning and zoning, by anybody that can tug their strings. So this administration is going to look a lot different from what we have seen in the last 12 years. Also, one of the first groups I'm going to pull together under my administration is a group that's going to look at how we can undo some of the damage of merger, how we can go after those term limits. Why does the Louisville mayor get to serve for 12 years? If 4 years is good enough for the president, it's good enough for the mayor, it's good enough for Metro Council. We're going after accountability that's going to be rooted in what the public wants and demands. Start demanding.
Well, as a mayor 12 years ago that took over a smaller city, I realized what customer service meant. And that's part of the reason why I started in the public service. I was a council person for 10 years, but then started in as mayor. And I realized our city didn't have pride. And the pride starts in the mayor's office, and then it works down to the employees. And if the employees don't have pride in their job, we won't have a city that you will be proud of, and you won't be wanting to take care of your city. So when I first came in, there were certain people that I said that you're not suited for this job, and you need to find another one, because customer service is not your number one thing. Procrastination is your number one thing. You need to find another place to do that, not in this office. I also realized that there was people that did not get the chance to perform. There were people that were passed over because of who they were. And we promoted them. So we did a study. We did the DE&I study. When we did the DE&I study, we didn't use the management or the mayor. We used the boots on the ground people of all different persuasions to come in and say, what are we doing wrong and where can we lead in a better way? We found out where the management should change, and we found out we were doing a pretty good job, but we adjusted where we needed to do things better. So when we started looking at downtown, I mean, we were talking about permitting. It's ridiculous how long it takes to get permitting, and somebody has their special interest when it's there. That will stop. This will not be a town where special interest, big money controls it. It'll be a town that cares about the person that's living in the house in this end of town. A person that's living in a house out on PRP. It's about the community. It's not about the big money who wants to control the community. So the people that work for me will be the people that will do the job, because I understand what customer service is. Every once in a while, my employees will say, Mayor, you got to start talking to the new hires because they don't understand customer service. And I've said this many times to my employees. I said, if somebody calls at 4:20 in the morning and you're 4:20 in the afternoon, or not being at 4:20 in the morning, 4:20 in the afternoon, and you're supposed to get off at 4:30, you answer the phone, because that person picked up the phone and had a problem, and you should answer the phone right then. Do not wait till next week to call them when you have the convenience of yourself. Government should be serving you. We had a person that was on our city council one night after a meeting. He said, Mayor, you and I are the most powerful persons in this community. I said, we are not. We are the servants of this community. We are not the powerful people in the community. And that's what we'll be when I become your next mayor. Thank you.
Two hallmarks of my administration will be transparency and accountability. First, transparency. I had the good fortune to serve on the board of University of Louisville Board of Trustees several years ago, where I fought for greater transparency at that institution, because I believe that transparent organizations are stronger organizations, particularly when it's dealing with public money and the public sector. We must be very transparent about what we're doing. And secondly, accountability. All of us here tonight are talking about all of these large plans, very significant things that we all want to do if we are fortunate enough to be the next mayor of Louisville. It's key that we be held accountable to you for what we're talking about here tonight. So when I released my public safety plan, I had a checklist of all of the components of that plan. so that everyone in the city could hold me as mayor accountable and everyone in our administration accountable for implementing that plan. I think my administration will be extremely diverse. Diverse by race, by gender, by age, by experience, by part of the community. We need people from the public sector, from the nonprofit sector, from the private sector. People with experiences very different than mine that share my sense of urgency to get things done. We don't need any more studies. We've had plenty of studies in this community. It's time for action. It's time to move Louisville in a new direction. And my administration will be action-oriented with an incredible sense of urgency so we can make that happen. Thank you very much.
In the administration that God will allow me to oversee, it won't be mine. It will be His. According to the scripture, it says, if my people, can you hold up that shirt for me? If my people, and then it says, ... That is not saying for you to go vote like it says on the back. It says, if my people who are called by my name will humble themselves. Are you familiar with that? Okay. This shirt right here, I want to give to somebody here tonight. I have 3 of them with me. If you can finish what I just started, because that's how it works. We start, and then we finish, and we finish together. You may take that shirt home with you. Please wear it. It is not for you to have as a pin up on your wall. It is for you to wear because you believe in what not only I have said, but this whole panel. I am really privileged to be here with you guys. You and I have already had a run. You and I have been running for a long time. I'm not a trumpet blower, but I will whistle loud. Amen. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not to your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge Him, and He will direct your path. When it comes to our city and employees, people don't want to hire our felons. I asked Raul Cunningham, I said, is it a law against that? He says, no, ma'am. Come on, felons. I want you. All right? You don't have to do a resume. You have to come and sit and talk with me and let me understand your journey. And then put you where God is going to place you in the gift that He gave you so that you can walk in your calling. Come on now.
I think we've now circled all the way back around. Yeah. I agree. That's right. So I probably have about 50 cards here, and if not more. And I'm picking up themes in a number of them. And one of those themes continues to circle back around to one that's probably not surprising to come from people in West Louisville in this community. Questions about the police department. And these questions have come in a number of different ways. I've picked one that I hope you will address and expound upon that allows us to get your perspective on our police department and how you would manage that department as mayor in light of all that we've experienced as a community in the last several years. The question is this. Young people say, why are the police asking us to snitch when they will not snitch? What young folks are saying is, why should I risk physical harm to tell on a rogue person who committed a crime or exhibited bad behavior when the police will not tell on rogue policemen who committed a crime or exhibited bad behavior? If you were elected mayor, will you insist that police hold each other accountable by telling on rogue policemen who commit crimes or exhibit bad behavior? Am I?
I'm made to just jump up.
Yeah.
LMPD, man.
Tell the truth. That's right.
Man, oh man.
Man, oh man.
Okay, first thing. Not everyone is meant to be an officer.
Sure enough.
Unfortunately, we have a department that is full of people that never should have been officers.
Amen.
And those that should be
That's amen.
officers.
That's an
And I
amen.
am one that believes that just because you're an officer, you're an evil person. I do not believe that.
No.
But the people who are best served for that job are ill served by the system. Because we have had folks running the system and letting that system run amok without accountability, without any recognition that racism is happening with LMPD and they're getting away from it. So first of all, police, and it's been said before, police who serve Jefferson County, who serve Louisville Metro, need to live in Louisville Metro. We do not need folks from Oldham County and some other county coming in as an occupying force to Louisville, period, but to the West End specifically.
Right.
Secondly, we need to come up with some sort of, now my background is research and psychology, so you know where I'm going to go. We need to come up with an assessment to determine if the people in their jobs are suitable for those jobs. We need to look at how police are working. We do not want an overworked police force, even though they're getting money to walk the beat from District 1 to the Highlands on the weekend. To make that extra money, we need to police our police, I'm sorry to say. Now, unlike some folks, I do believe we do not have police. Some of my more progressive friends get angry with me, that we do not need more police. But merger, this is one of the outcomes of merger. We actually lost some of the force. So we need to look again at the scope of our force, where they live, if they're suitable for the work, and we need to get rid of the current police chief. That's where we're going.
So as a sitting mayor, I have a police department and have been the mayor for a police department for 12 years. And I've had, Chief and I have had several times where we've told police officers it's better that they find another position someplace else because they're not suited for leading our community and making our community safe and being a part of the community. I also served on a board at the state level where we took away certifications. I was the first person to, within 10 seconds, because I had to take a breath, to get rid of the certification of the explorers. Because I realize those certifications are something that we should not have. A police officer should not be able to jump from one police department to another police department. I was also at the state level making sure that they can't do that. And here are the things, the reasons why you can't jump. And it does, because when you perform at that level, you should lose your certification. You shouldn't go to another department in another part of the state or come here and be a part of the state. But I am also a firm believer in policing. Because when we start talking about community policing, as I said, when we sat down, Rick and I sat down at Kohl's and talked to some of the people that were on Jefferson Street and talked to people in the neighborhood, they actually wanted to have a safe neighborhood. And in order to have a safe neighborhood, we're going to have police that you know, that you trust. And in order to have police that you know and you trust, I can't have a force that has 10 runs backed up. I have to have them where they can take the report and not have to mail it in or call on the internet or do something like that. They have to know you. And in order to know you, you have to know if this police officer is the right one. And then as a mayor, we have to make sure we move forward with bringing the right police officers, the best police officers, and make sure that LMPD is the best of the best and not accept second best. So I can tell you two things. I understand what it means to decertify and have those officers that should not be police officers. But I also can tell you that my officers that I work with are ones that care about their community and get up every day and work to make the community a safe place for the people.
Thank you. I believe that LMPD should both be the most transparent police department in America, the most trusted, and the best trained. To achieve that, let's talk about each of those three specifically. First, transparency. We need to empower the Civilian Review Board to do its job, and the police department needs to turn over records when it's requested of them and not keep hiding information. When it comes to body cam footage, let's release it. Let's release it promptly and in its full. We don't need it to take a long time, and it doesn't need to be edited. The facts are the facts, and we need to deal with the facts as they are. In terms of trust, we need to have a police force that reflects the community that it serves. And so we have a long way to go in that regard as well. And when it comes to recruiting police officers who our entire community will trust, let's focus on not just having a more diverse force, but also let's recruit folks from other professions. How about getting more social workers onto our police force so they have different trainings and backgrounds from where they're coming from? And finally, training. We need to ensure that our police has the best training possible and that they're trained in community policing. So as they're working to prevent crime from being happening, they're working with the clergy, they're working with neighborhood leaders, they're working with business owners, they know neighborhood leaders, they're working with formerly incarcerated individuals. Anyone who wants to be a part of the solution to help prevent crime from being happening. And so those, to me, are some of the hallmarks to improve our police department, to ensure that for their role in improving public safety, it's one that has trust, transparency, and training.
I believe those two are the most accurate things that you can get: transparency and being accountable. If we have to be accountable for what we stand for and what we do, they have to be accountable for what and how they serve. We have, at least I thought we had come from that place of Martin Luther King having to march, but of course we had not, because I see my protesters over here. We were in the streets for getting the Breonna Taylor case and the accountability for those people involved in that case, charged and put in the place that they needed to be. My protesters, I love you. I thank you for letting me hang with you. They called me Miss Gina. They didn't know my name was Manetta. I hear that from them. I have family I had to protect. And then we were going to Denver, and the tickets came out, and they were like, who's Manetta? Me. And they were like, but we call you Miss Gina. I said, that's what my sons call me as my alter ego. I become Miss Gina. I transform in front of them, and who knows what happens then. But I love the fact that I was able, Bishop, every night, we circle that circle. You and Pastor Arkin. I watched them take you down. But here you are standing.
That's right.
This young man cried so hard. You don't even know I was there, surrounded you with Chris. You was in the floor, baby.
My goodness.
Because you're free.
My goodness.
Sheldon? Yeah, you can have it. I can still call you out. It was watching you. Two of her baby and her niece got baptized. We baptized 6 people outside of my 60th birthday at the protest. I'm not a trumpet blower, but I whistle loud.
Come on, that's right. That's right. That's right. That's right.
Well, I'd like to say that I've done time for things I didn't do. Can't help myself. I didn't follow the laws, I've always tried to, but I do think we need to change some of those. If I was a guy, to police not to try to arrest people for certain crimes. Drug possession would be gone, they wouldn't be doing any arresting for that. Prostitution, they wouldn't be arrested for that. And then, that's ridiculous. But I'd actually ask them to require them to wear a camera, at least. Other than that, everything these people all said was good. The other thing I had is they should wear, the cameras if they're going out patrolling, especially if they're going to draw down on somebody, they should have their camera running. I can shoot anybody, and the camera's not on, they go to jail. Other than that, we need police. Because you live in their own neighborhood, truly.
Yes, that's right.
Very good.
Thank you.
We've got a few more questions we're going to try to plow through. I believe our end time today is 9 o'clock. And so I've got one question here that's part of what came into the Neighborhood Association. And it is one that deals with economics. West Louisville is home to approximately 60,000 residents. 80% of those are African American. Unfortunately, the median household income in West Louisville is $20,000, approximately $20,000. And so the question is, what will your administration do to help create wealth for African American contractors, investors, workers, and entrepreneurs who are working to improve their lives? And Bill, we'll start with you.
Henry. Here we are. Yeah. And I've kind of mentioned this before. Downtown, well, first thing I'll say is we need to make sure that the education, the people coming out of high school, the men and women coming out of high school has choices. That they have the ability to, whether they want to Simmons College, U of L, or any other university, we have the ability to go there. But also the IT and the trade schools. Because this community, all of Jefferson County, needs everybody working and everybody making a living wage. But as I mentioned, that there's a Ford plant going down the street, and we have to make sure we have the personnel that can supply that. And not only the employees that will work there, but we also have to have the vendors and suppliers. So that means the plumbers, but it's not all about the storefronts. Yes, we need an economic person for the storefronts, but downtown here needs an economic person to build the economy down here. We don't need one, we need one for the whole community, but this community should have its own economic director that brings the corporations and the companies down here, so you don't have to go out to J-Town. Of course, I love you coming out to J-Town, but you have the ability to have this part of the community grow. And I was talking to an organization today that we will be working with us in the future, and this community will have both an economic director for the storefronts, the restaurants, the boutiques, the barbershops, but also one that will help the small business. And as a person that owned a hardware store, I understand what it takes to have a checkbook in your lap. It's not a matter of somebody giving you millions of dollars and saying, hey, go be successful. It's a matter of somebody staying with you through the marketing, but also through the management process of helping you and being a mentor. And we have to do that in all parts of the community, but especially down here. So we have land down here that we can use for good economic development, not polluting economic development, to where you have the benefits that all the rest of the community has. We're not in a competition. There's enough out there that we can bring down here, but that all the rest of the city has.
Thank you.
We need to make it easier for Black-owned businesses, for small businesses, to do business with the city. We've been talking a lot tonight about hundreds of millions of dollars of new investment being invested in the 9 neighborhoods of West Louisville and other parts of the city as well. We need to make it easier so that Black-owned businesses have the opportunity to participate in some of that investment. Whether it's building things, whether it's providing services, there are so many different things that when the city makes investment, that it's seeking the private sector and businesses to do. So we need to make it easier, not all of this red tape. We also need to support entrepreneurs who want to start a business to participate in this opportunity. So we need to work with organizations like AMP, but we also need to work with organized labor unions so that people have more opportunities to be trained in the careers and trades of tomorrow that can be trained today. Whether it's to learn how to have a better, good-paying career path job, or to give them the skills that they need to become an entrepreneur, to start their own business. But finally, as you mentioned earlier, Devone, we need to have at least one, if not more, Black-owned and Black-led banks in Louisville. We need to have more Black-led foundations to support them, so that together they are also supporting Black-owned businesses as well. And so we need to create that entire cycle, just like the rest of the community benefits from. There's no reason that there shouldn't be equity with entrepreneurial and investment opportunities for everyone throughout Louisville.
Thank you.
One thing that happened when slavery was in operation was to divide and separate us. If you ask the average African why we can't get along, on why we can't work together, on why we seem to be the only culture that can't live and strive together. It's nothing that we have done. It was what was done to us on purpose. Now we need to forget what happened, not in forgetting, but forget so we can move forward. We hang on to a lot of things, baggage. Baggage can damage you and you will never recover. And that's even with your life situations that's going on currently. If we want to see our city, our neighborhoods, and the people that dwell therein do something fabulous, let us learn to live together. Let us learn to trust one another. I know what you're saying. You can't, I ain't, she this, they that. No more. Today is a new day. If God is doing a new thing, then we do the new thing. Amen. Let us come together. We have an opportunity right now. It's in the palm of our hands to be united in great things. What will you do with what God puts in your hand? I'm going to grow. I'm going to show the world that there can be the first African American. Ooh, Jesus. What will I be? First African American queen mayor. And my friend over here don't beat me to it. But guess what? One of the two will serve you with. But I believe you have a whole panel that can serve you well. But we will serve working with you, not against you. Amen?
Amen. Hallelujah.
Hello, once again, I'm David Ellenberg, and I'd like your vote, of course, but this leads back to my first comment. If you go to my website, ellenbergerformayor.com, you can see the leading line is get paid to vote. What that means is we're going to pay you to vote on things online. The Game of Life thing, I urge everybody to look it up, see what it's about, and the iVent.org, or the Society to Regulate and Write Rules for Social Media. These are new classes of jobs that I would like to implement and start pilot programs here in Louisville that you can actually get paid for voting online on things as simple as a survey. Or let's say a company wanted to get a law passed here. They have to pay $50 for a yes vote, $50 for a no vote. So you can vote either way and still get paid, but you got to vote. And you get paid. And that's for the regulate the social media. So whatever we want to do, again, that's all I can say. That's the plan. To get money in your pocket, and we can get going pretty quickly. We just get investments from Google and companies, whoever, they give it to us. And they promote their products, and you get paid to vote on it and look at it online. Basically, I get paid to watch a commercial.
The question is, what will your administration do to put money in the pockets of poor black people?
Okay.
That's the question.
You know, guys, when you think about how much money has been available as a result of COVID, how much money is floating around, and that it went into the same pockets, we need to be troubled. The Kunnecke administration will make sure that we're looking more closely at where those monies are going. So many times we hear, oh, you know, investment. I'm beginning to hate that term, investment, because of the shell game that it turns out to be. But this administration will look to who has the talent, who is bringing to the community what we need. So agree with you about the sports center. Direct those funds to those entities. Enough funds not to just get them started for the headlines, you know, but ooh, we're investing now. And then you kind of creep away, and these buildings fail, the businesses fail. So this administration is going to be directing funds more directly to the community for good ideas, but then also to ensure their longevity. So it won't be going to the same places. And we will be asking for true accountability. It's not going to be going to the favorites, you know, somebody that had lunch with somebody that's hooked in with a Powerball. It's going to be going to people who have ideas that we need,
Yes.
that we are going to need and respect. And it's going to be going to folks that are in the community and don't think of the West End as down there. Please stop saying that.
Thank you.
Thinking of us as down
Thank
here.
you, thank you, thank
Or a
you.
place that
Thank
we need
you.
to be airlifted out of. We just need for that tiny few folks that keep controlling our money and where it goes and who's going to get it for 5 minutes. We need for that to stop. That's my underlying thing.
Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, our last question of the night. I'm going to start with you, Greg, if I'm still following my order here. And I don't think we need to dress it up because it's one that all of us see and want to find a solution to the problem of homelessness.
This is a critical issue impacting so many individuals throughout our entire city and so many neighborhoods throughout our entire city. As everyone here knows, so many who are experiencing homelessness are suffering from mental health disorders or addiction, oftentimes both. We as a community need to do a better job addressing those issues for people who are experiencing homelessness or are at risk of experiencing homelessness. At the same time, we must do a better job of providing transitional housing opportunities for those individuals. And so I think those should be all combined together in one location so that we can provide people with opportunities to have a place to live while they're getting treatment for some challenges that they might have in life and help folks get a new pathway to life. Right now, one of the cities that's leading the charge in this effort is Houston, Texas. They're taking a housing first model. And so we keep talking about all of this federal money that is available. One of the areas where I proposed last year investing this federal money, and I will continue to do that if I'm fortunate enough to be elected and mayor, is addressing this issue specifically along the lines I just focused on, so that we can provide safe shelter and services to those in need, while also ensuring that our public areas are safe for everyone else. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you.
This is one of the most important issues that I have close to my heart. I watched so many during the protests be in an unsheltered place. Can you start just using that terminology instead of homeless? Because what I found out, it wasn't that they were homeless. It was that they didn't want to go to the homes that they had because of what they had to go through. Sexually abused, physically abused, verbally abused, mentally just destroyed as human beings. And they felt safer being out in the street than they did in their own home. How do I know? I stayed out there with them. Night after night after night. And then Sharika Wright Parrish says, Miss Gina, do you need a hotel? I said, give it to somebody who really needs it. That's right. I have a car. God showed me how to live in my car. I sheltered it, and then the protesters protected me as I slept. Miss Gina, we gonna let that happen to you. So why do you think they are number one on my list? To put them downtown on Jacob Street, College Street, whatever that street is, in some blue tents, I wanted to go knock them down. How do you belittle somebody in that magnitude? And you got all these empty houses around here, and they don't have to be on the same street. Just put them in one. And let them refurbish it. Let them work to get it to the place that is livable. painters, you've got talented people out there underneath your viaducts. Skilled individuals that can build you a house.
If they're not drunk.
We have to take care of them. Mental issue is not only the reason why they are there. They are there because they know somebody cares for them. Don't make sense, but it does.
Thank you.
One of the first things I would do would be considering to empty all the prisons out of non-violent offenders and then let some of the homeless people live there if they want. Of course, if they have a place to go, then they can stay there because we need a place where we can build some more prisons, not necessarily prisons, but we call them homeless shelters. We need more of those. Obviously, getting more money, taking an inventory of all the empty houses here in Louisville, which I know there's one in my neighborhood, this is now bad because it's been sitting there empty, but yeah, something like that. Just let people get the houses that are available, and we can go to the tiny homes, we can go into that. Big home out of mud bricks, teach people how to do that.
Okay. We need to retire the term homelessness. Having an affordable, safe home is a human right. It is not a privilege. That means one of the first things we have to do, there's been a record number of construction in this community during the last 12 years. All these buildings going up, all these houses going up. Why do we need to have people sleeping on the street, under the viaduct? Glad you mentioned the car, because there are folks who work every day that are going to live in their car on someone's couch, a different couch, day to day to day. We are in a crisis, and yet I believe we have a surplus of housing that has been built over the last 12 years that is sitting empty. A Kunnecke administration is going to look into that. Look into how much of this new housing is sitting empty, sitting waiting for the Derby folks to come, or for Airbnb folks to come.
Tell the truth.
We're going to find out from these big developers who got tips to do what they wanted to do. They got tax breaks. They got all kinds of pluses to invest. We're going to find out how much of that property is sitting empty and how much of that is costing us through tips, through the people sleeping on the street, etc. This is an issue that never should have come to this crisis point, but that's where we are. So we also have to look at folks, because folks are there are folks that are talking about building out. I'll go back to Floyd's Creek. They're going to endanger the water supply. They're going to build big places that no one can afford. How much of that do we need? We're going to do a reset in terms of what we're building, a reset in terms of developers that we are enabling, and a reset in terms of how to ensure that these people living on the streets or wherever are not moved conveniently for Derby. Move them here, move them there. We should never be satisfied with people living in tents, and I so agree with you. That is shameful what's happening over there on Jacob.
So it's a matter of being houseless, not homeless, right? You agree with me one time, all right, we're good. Not that, we won't say that. There is neighborhoods, right? There is neighborhoods. We have pride in our neighborhood. And the city mayor, we do have people on our streets, and that's not compassionate. It's not compassionate to have you on the streets when it's 10 degrees or when it's 100 degrees. It's not compassionate to take them from one viaduct to another viaduct because the Derby people don't want to see you. That's not passionate. And when people say that those people on the street, and I say that with respect, it's people. These are people that need your help, and they're not all the same. We do have the people that are addicted in our town. We have the Angel program where we help you and we stay with you. We still know the first person that we helped 7 years ago. There's people that have behavioral problems, and we have the social worker that goes out and helps them to find out where they can go to get help. But you also have the person that's living in the car, and it could be because they were abused by a spouse and put the kids in the car and says, I can't handle this anymore. We have a victim's advocate that gets you through the court system and gets you to know that it's not normal. And then we have the vet that has fought for our country, that has come back and came adjust. And that person is on the streets because they don't know how to adjust back into our community. In our community, I use USA Cares that make sure they have housing, and they have food, and they have the job, and they have the help to make sure that they are ones that have fought for us, and we are fighting for them. There is a family that all of a sudden they lost their job and they don't have a savings, so they lose their house and they're thrown out on the streets. And that family, we had the area ministries where we bring in the churches to help them. So as I say, the houseless is not one type of person. Let's start talking about all the people that are on the streets that we need to help, because it's not a compassionate city when we leave those people on the street and just move them to another battle.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's give these candidates a round of applause. Meaningful that we did this and that we did it in West Louisville, and we talked about West Louisville. Too often there are conversations that happen about West Louisville that are not connected and tied to people or places in this community. And so today was important. We want to thank the Shawnee Neighborhood Association for and thank all of those who are online sharing. I do want to recognize the commitment that the Shawnee Neighborhood Association has made to continue beyond today to make sure that after January 1st, when the new mayor is elected, that there is accountability for all that we've shared today and all that we've heard up until this point. And so they'll be sharing and communicating transcripts from today's forum, as well as other information that West Louisville residents should be mindful of when they go to the polls in November. But we want to thank you guys for being here today. Thank you very much for your contributions and your commitment to serve our community. God bless you. Say hello and welcome and thank you to the candidates who were out here today. Yes, sir.
Hello, welcome Louisville, and welcome to Angle's Selfie Museum, located at 111 West Washington Street, Suite 201, right across from the Moxie Hotel, connected to Roots 101 African American Museum. We're open Wednesday through Sunday from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. Stop by, take a selfie, and don't forget those angles.
Good morning and welcome to Brew and Sip, where you get your drip. We also have 2 locations, one at 505 West Broadway, or meet us at 3800 Shepherdsville Road, where you can hold your business meeting or just meet with friends. Have a delicious cup of our drip, as well as our smoked chicken salad. We hope to see you soon. Welcome back to the live.
Don't forget what we did today. Today is history. Don't just go home and say, hey, let me post it. Live it! To change, we just have to be stubborn enough. We just have to be strong enough. We just have to be relentless. How do we fix it? We didn't break it. Guys!